Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is John Jocelyn, speaking for the Associated Gun Clubs of Baltimore. I'm going to make a brief statement, and with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to cede the rest of my time to Mr. Blasberg, who will speak in detail on the nature of what happened and our lawsuit. When citizens provide their information to the Maryland State Police, they have a reasonable expectation that that information will be viewed only by law enforcement agencies. They would never in their wildest dreams believe that without their knowledge or permission, this information will be shared with such entities as Health and Human Services. We were not notified ahead of time about this. In point of fact, when it happened, I received an urgent phone call from one of my members who works in one of those agencies who said, "You're not going to believe what's happening." I made a phone call, I verified with the state police that they were doing it, and I immediately put out a press release and an email to my members. Following that, the Maryland State Police issued a press release doing damage control and spin. They tried to mitigate the impact of what they've been caught doing. How they thought they'd get away with it is another story for another day. There is still a backlog. The Maryland State Police expect that they will clean it up sometime in the upcoming month. But what if it happens again? We believe that this legislation is necessary to safeguard our private information, and I yield my time and floor to Mr. Blasberg.
Thank you, John. Dan Blasberg. I'm the Vice President of Maryland Shall Issue. We were party to the lawsuit brought to Maryland State Police for the personal identification information that was not properly taken care of. In so filing this lawsuit, it was proven that Maryland State Police, one, attempted to use employees that were not vetted for personal identification information, that being the Social Security numbers and other personal information. One and only one login ID and password was used for the 200 plus individuals that were signed up for this. This allowed for no accountability tracking of any information that was put in, how it was entered, when it was accessed, where it was accessed from. In regards to the access, the initial access point was a public access web server that could be accessed from any computer anywhere in the world, not just in Maryland, not just in Annapolis or Baltimore, but anywhere in the world from any computer. It was not encrypted. The SSL certificate that was provided for it was not active. Within about 8 hours, they did provide an SSL certificate, which is a security certificate. That certificate had expired 5 years prior. It was not until we brought this to their attention that the Maryland State Police, A, decided to put it behind the state's firewall where it was accessible only by state IP addresses. And then the SSL certificate was up to date and still up to date and will not expire until 2016. Furthermore, the IT folks finally turned around and came up with 200 different logins and 200 different passwords. As to the data itself, the data was not encrypted. It was scanned. It was put on a disk. The disk was not encrypted. Had the disk been lost, it would have been free information for anybody. Fortunately, the disks were scrubbed and destroyed after the information was passed on. But again, that violates federal law with regards to how to safekeeping of Social Security numbers and transfer of Social Security numbers over an internet or electronic means. So with all of the above having happened and being acknowledged by the state, not only in a press release but also in court records for the lawsuit, Maryland Shall Issue and the Associated Gun Clubs strongly support this bill by Senator Jacobs, and we would encourage that a favorable finding be given by this committee.